I'm Shay Brianne Howard. Welcome to my TED Talk, and this is the Hospital Horror Story series. We are on to part 4 or 5. Keep up. Keep up. I can't even keep up. Okay? So, where I left off last, I was giving you guys one of the worst hospital horror stories I have when me and my child basically kidnapped, and he called the police on me, which was weird. Okay, whatever. If you don't know what I'm talking about, if you feel like kidnap, calling the police on a black person, what happened? If you don't know, catch up. Go back. Go back and watch the last video. See, that's where you slacking and lacking. So let's continue on. All right. So we're starting with the video that I have. I'm going to, by now, I have reposted it. It is a very hard to watch video of me in a very vulnerable state. I really did not know how that hospitalization was going to go. And, the fact that there was a nurse saying, oh, if you don't do what the doctors say, they can kill you and get away with it. Yeah, I was told that. So I was very, very scared for my life because I was in a very delicate and vulnerable situation. And because I didn't do what they wanted me to do, which again was not recommended by any of my doctors, and I knew better than to listen to what they wanted me to do because it was going to be to my detriment. They took it out and retaliated on me using my pain medication, just everything. My whole treatment plan was, they canceled everything. And told the nurse to talk to me, talk some sense into me, get me to understand that if I don't do what they say, they could kill me, basically. Or, I'm sorry, unalive me. I know I'm not supposed to say the K word. They could unalive me. And it was to put myself back in that situation, very traumatic. Just to know that they felt they had the power to do that. They had the power to not. I requested to consult with my nephrologist, which they didn't want to do. Okay. So then I said, okay, let's consult with a specialist here at this hospital, a nephrologist here. They didn't want to do that, but ultimately they did. And it turns out, oh, wait, she was right. I was right because they wanted to give me normal saline, which affected my kidney function terribly, had a negative effect, and I knew that would happen. So I did not want them to give me normal saline. And they made a whole big fuss about it. I mean, terrible, just so terrible to me because I wanted to be sure. And they just didn't want to use the D5 that was recommended by my nephrologist to use. So, in retrospect, when I go back and watch that video and look at it and see how swollen I was, how much pain I was clearly in, how much of an vulnerable situation with my hemoglobin I was. They didn't want to order my blood exchange. They already had orders from my hematologist. So it was just such a terrible time that time around that I just refused to let them just kind of sweep it under the rug the way that they wanted to. So I did. I filed a complaint. I spoke to the councilwoman, Veronica Escobar. She was amazing to me, and it really did affect my treatment positively once I did all of that. But it was unfortunate that I had to go through all those steps just to have proper care and treatment because of what? Because you see me as less than, because I'm black, because I'm a woman, because I have sickle cell. That does not, that doesn't make me any less deserving of proper care. They also misdiagnosed me. Excuse me. They also misdiagnosed me with diabetes. They said I had diabetes. That's why they couldn't give me the D5 because that's the sugar based fluids. So it was just this whole thing, and I had to get several advocates involved just to get the proper care and treatment that I deserved. And it was unfortunate. It was a very diabolical situation and a very just mm, traumatic situation, but I turned my tragedies into triumphs and I never let it stop me. But that was strike two. It was. Strike three is coming. I will let you know what was the final nail in the coffin that made me decide, you know what, this is it. If I do not leave El Paso, Texas, they are going to unalive me, and I refuse to be a martyr just to prove a point. I refuse to be a martyr just to prove that I was right, but I'm gone and my daughter has no one. So I had to leave because although I was pushing the needle forward in the right direction when I lived there, it was to my detriment every time. It always was ending something happening to me negatively with my health, had a negative impact on my health. So I had about enough, and that will be coming up next. That is going to be the part three of the El Paso hospital horror stories. I have more, of course. Of course, I have more stories. But these are the main ones that really stood out that made me just decide I can no longer live here because they will eventually unalive me. And I was not willing to let that happen um, for the sake of my child, at the very least. So that is why I ended up moving. Sometimes you have to look at your situation, your circumstances, and do the best you can to create a different outcome. And all in all, do I regret ever going to El Paso? No. Do I regret the experiences that I had? No, because it made me the person that I am. What I could I have gone without these things happening to me and these people saying these crazy outlandish things to me? Of course. Why, of course. But life doesn't always work out that way, unfortunately. So here we are. And then I wouldn't have this whole dope series to talk about all this crazy stuff that I that I've processed and dealt with and figured a way to, again, I just hold the hospital staff accountable, but even myself to, like I said, process it, not take it into my next admission, not, you know, create the anger and pain that it kind of gives you and calcifies you a little bit on dealing with the medical system. So moving forward, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Please like, share, subscribe, follow, do anything, hit the notification bell. Uh, make sure you know when the next part's coming because the next part's a doozy. It's a doozy, booby. Anyways, until next time, folks, start what you are, use what you have, and do what you can. Peace.